Chapel Methodist Episcopal Church Cemetery, located a mile off Lakeview Road, currently on the place of a Ray Beasley, who's standing here with me. Mr. Beasley has been very receptive in working with us to help us restore the cemetery. In fact, he was kind enough to put up this little red line here as the boundaries of the cemetery. He has been working with my cousin, Mr. Ernest Buck Lee, and we had plans yesterday to burn off the debris of the cemetery, but because of the rain, we were not able to do that. Mr. Beasley, we appreciate what you're doing here in terms of helping us. And how long have you been on this place?
Well, I have actually lived here since 1948, and took control of the property through buying from my sisters and all like that back in 2013. But I have lived here off and on all my life. Moved away, moved back.
So now this property came through your father?
Actually came through my father.
What was your father's name?
Kenneth.
Kenneth Beasley.
Kenneth Beasley. Yeah. My grandfather was Joe Kelly Beasley. A lot of people knew him as Mr. Joe. A lot of people called him J.K.
Where did he go to church? If he went to church.
He did go to church. Yes.
Was it Union or?
No, it was actually the church over on right above Hope You Like It.
Oh,
if you're going back toward
Mill Creek.
Mill Creek. That's it.
Right.
That's right.
Mill Creek.
Mill Creek. And
now that's a Primitive Baptist church.
Yes. But my actually that's where my dad went. My mom went some, but she really was. She was a member of Temple Hill.
Temple Hill.
Temple Hill when she passed away.
Okay. Now who is this dog's name then? He's announcing Brother Lee coming down here.
That's Molly. That belongs to my daughter, but you think she belongs to me because she stays in my house more than she stays anywhere else.
Well, you see the cemetery now, but you should have seen it a few years ago, because all of this was trees, and Mr. Beasley has cut down all the trees and planted new pine trees as an investment for his children and his grandchildren.
Yes.
But they've been very protective of the cemetery.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And they have allowed us to come in, and we're going to be putting up a fence. We're going to do a plat of the cemetery itself, and we're going to mark all the graves that we know. Some years ago, your cousin Lisa DeLoach is the one that really showed me where it was, and her son Matt. There used to be a hunting place over here where they hunt deer.
Yeah.
And he hunted deer here. But what they told me was that there was one grave, and that's Ruby Lee's grave, and that grave was the only grave in the cemetery that somebody came year after year to clean up that. And one was her son, David Lee, and he has since died, and I believe he's buried over at the Lee Cemetery. Just want to make everyone aware is that this is one of the oldest cemeteries. These members came out of Union Methodist Church and New Hope Methodist Church, which were the only Methodist church in this area. And Brown Chapel was a Methodist Episcopal church. I checked the rolls of Union Church and New Hope Church and found the names of many of these folk buried here. So now we have an understanding that Union and New Hope and the Hodges family played a great role in the founding of this Brown Chapel. We have Mr. Ernest Buck Lee. Come on over here, sir.
Hey, Buck.
Can I ask the question? Who was Son Beasley?
Son is a cousin
Okay.
of my dad.
Okay.
All right, we're doing on the camera live. Yeah, give him five there.
Hey,
Give him five.
good to see you.
No, you
there.
come on. We want you on the camera. That's why we want you on here.
Come on up here.
Yo, this is cousin Ernest Buck Lee. He's from the Ebenezer Lee line on the Lee side. Daddy was Sam Lee, nearly 90. How old is your dad?
98,
98 years old, live up in New York. And how old is your mama?
96.
Miss Lassie Lee. And so related to all these leads from the area, so we're happy to have him here with us as well. And Mr. Lee has worked with me, and Mr. Beasley has given us permission to work on cleaning up the cemetery. And we do have plans for it, and I'm glad that he could come out. And those of you in Facebook land who want to be supportive of the work we do, please go to our website at www.willowhillheritage.org and willowhillheritage.org, and we are so appreciative of what you do, can do, as we're trying to preserve the history of African Americans post-slavery. Now, we know that Sherman, when he was going from Atlanta to Savannah on his march to the sea, passed right in front of the Union Church down on River Road. And also we know that he camped at the Neville's Creek Church, because the minutes there say that Sherman's army soldiers used their pews and their boards to make firewood out of. And it was a few years that they could have church there again. So we're standing in the middle of history. Now we're going to walk in the cemetery, and not everyone will be able to walk, but we want to point out some of the graves, some of the people who are buried there. The first thing we want to do is to call the names of those who were enslaved that we know.
Let me say one thing before you get started, because I'm going to back out. You said earlier about the condition of this cemetery. And really, Buck is the one that has done the most work to really bring this thing back. I mean, when I first, even though I preserved it to make sure nothing, the wind damage and things like that was pretty bad before Mr. Buck come out here and started cutting and cleaning and burning and all like that. So he's the one to be recommended for getting it to the point where it is right now. You know, even though I allowed it, he's still the one that's put all the physical labor to it.
Yeah, we
so
appreciate it.
I wanted to thank him for that.
It is when you have a group of folk working together in harmony that it makes it all possible.
That's
so
right.
One couldn't do this without the other, couldn't do this without the other. But it's the collective work that made all this possible. So we want to thank you very much, and we shall be in touch.
All right.
I had one question.
Yes.
Does anybody, the church originally was here too?
Yes.
What I have been told, didn't know it for sure, the church basically was back on the other side somewhere, but I'm not sure. And it was a Masonic lodge that was given to the people when the Masons moved from from here to Statesboro. They actually allowed for the church to continue. I don't know what happened, and you might know, but whether it was torn down, whether it was burned down, but it was really on the back side of that.
And as I had mentioned earlier today, the Masons started out of Union Church, so that was all right here in this area. And that's one reason why they said that Sherman didn't destroy or do any damage to the Union Church because of the Masonic. And so we don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that in 1918, at the intersection of Mallard and Bernard Smith Road, the Brown Chapel Methodist Episcopal Church moved to that site. In fact, cuz Ethel here, you saw that as a little girl, is that true?
Yeah, the white church, as I said, the only white church that I ever remember seeing. All the other churches was like wood, but that one white, and then Free Chapel was red. I think it's still red right now. So yes, I remember that.
And so what she means by that, she means that it was painted white.
That's right.
And very few of the African American churches at that time were painted.
That's right.
Now, were you traveling by horse and buggy, or mule and wagon? Or what?
Probably with boy husband, but my granddaddy would always be driving in the country, probably was with him on the mule and wagon. Yeah.
Mhm. Now, who was your grandfather?
My grandfather was Raj Bunyan Lester.
Lester.
Uh-huh.
And that was cousin Lucy Lester's husband?
Husband, right.
Okay, Lucy Lester. And then she is from the Lee lineage. George Lee,
Uh-huh.
from that line,
Right.
who was related to Cow Jack Lee, who was the black cowboy, who drove cattle from Bulloch to Savannah, crossing the Peachy River. And at that time, there weren't fences to hold in different animals. They grazed freely. And so he was, at that time, Cow Jack Lee. He was born during slavery in 1845. And his son, Jonas Lee, born in 1866, rode a mule, and Cow Jack rode a horse as they were herding cattle to the markets at Savannah, Georgia. So this area is filled extensively with history, and we're so happy that we could be here at the Brown Chapel Cemetery and to have you and Mr. Lee, the great work you're doing and will continue to do. At this time, we thank you for coming.
Yep.
Appreciate it, and we'll be seeing you in the future.
Okay, talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye now.
Good to
hug,
see you.
Louise.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll get that hug again so we can get it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you,
God
Doc.
bless you.
Okay, so now we're going to walk into the cemetery.
Okay.
All right? Now, okay.
Bless the Lord. But do you know where the old church used to belong? Y'all be careful now.
Okay.
Yo, you coming? Okay.
Free.
Yes. Yes, she knew. Okay, now. Okay, this is the grave of Ruby Lee. She was the daughter of Henry Hodge and Kay Lottie Wilson. Some of the Wilsons were in the white Methodist church, as well as the Hodge. Sometimes the name is Hodge, H-O-D-G-E, and sometimes H-O-D-G-E-S. But she's here, and she's one of the last burials here, not the exact last one. She was the wife of Boyd Lee. Okay, this is a Coleman here. She was, their family members were in the Union Church. Okay. Now, many of these graves that you can see are broken down. You're going to need a lot of cleaning. This is Ernest Lovett. The Lovetts came from north in Georgia to this area. Many of the Lovetts married into the Huff family. Now over here, I want to, these graves are, we're going to have to fix this. This is the Van Lee that I was talking about, that my Uncle Doogie Lee was his first cousin. He was born in 1899 and died around 1916 or 1918. It is said that he went off to school. He was the only child of Kay Lottie Wilson Lee and Bub Lee. Went off to school and caught some type of disease and died from that, and that was their only child, so they are buried here. My thoughts are, if they're buried here, then somewhere in this area, Bub Lee and Kaylati Wilson must be. Now this grave here, and don't know who all these are, but usually family members bury themselves next to each other. But this is Van Lee here. This is Charity Coleman, born during slavery in 1836 and died in 1906. These were members of the Union Methodist Church, the one that was found in 1790 as one of the first churches in Bulloch County and the first Methodist church. So this is Charity. And Charity's husband, Jesse, is buried somewhere here in an unmarked grave. Now, there are graves all in this area. When you see the indentations on the ground, these are the resting places of many individuals. Now, this grave here is Bernie Tolbert, Tolbert. He was born in 1892, died as a young man in 1918. He was the son of Laura Tolbert and Paro Tolbert. Laura was a Hall. She was the daughter of Alice Hall and Laura and Randall Hall of the Willow Hill community. He moved there from this area. They are brothers and sisters. And also out here is buried Ola Hall. Ola Hall married Ebb Lowndes. And Ebb Lowndes was relative to the Lee family because Mitchell Lowndes married a Louise Lee, who was the sister of Abram Lee, George Lee, Ebenezer Lee. So this is all part of the Lee family. And so this is Benny Tolbert. Benny Tolbert's mother, Laura, is buried somewhere here in an unmarked grave. And so is the grandmother, Alice Hall. Alice Hall was a Hanshaw before she married a Jim Hall. Okay. Now this grave here is related to the Lovett, Mattie Lovett. Now Mattie was a Lowndes who married into the Lovett family. And remember we said the Lovetts came to the Bulloch County area, I believe as part of the turpentine industry. And many of the Lovetts married into the Huffs. There were two ways of spelling Lovett. Some spell Levitt, L-E-V-E-T-T, some L-O-W-E-T-T, but they both are the same people. All here are graves that were restored. Here resting in child, little Walter Brown, born January 1909, died May 1909. That was around the, just a few years before the Titanic sank in 1912. Okay, again, when you see all of the indentations here, these are graves, and hopefully we will be able to find out about these graves and who they are. Here is the grave of Ella Melvin. She was born in 1867 and died in 1906. She was the wife of Rob Melvin, and many of you who know Gertrude Lee, she first married a Melvin, Ellis Melvin, and this is Ellis Melvin's parents. And Gertrude Lee later married a Jones, and she was the daughter of her father right now slips me, but she was the daughter of Annie Hall. Annie Hall was the mother of Gertrude, and Annie Hall married a Lee. Now there are graves all in this area here. here we see the tombstone. Here is sacred to the memory of James Williams, son of Charlie and Hetty Williams, born June 1883, born June 4th, 1883, died June 5th, 1883. Live yet but a day. Rest to the memory of James Williams. You are remembered. You are remembered. Now we will need to do more work on finding out who is buried in this cemetery. Here is sacred to the memory of Harriet, who is the daughter of Joe and Annie Weaver, born in April 1886 and died 1887. Lived but a year. Okay, what we are working on is trying to find out who are the ancestors. Now look at all these indentations in the ground. These are the graves of individuals. You see all those indentations. So all over this cemetery, you see the indentations, which are the graves. Now here is Jesse Coleman, and I believe Charity Coleman, we saw that grave. He died November the 2nd, 1886. So this is either going to be a son or the husband. It may be the son. He died in 1886. That's Jesse Coleman. Remember, the Colemans were members of Union Methodist Church. All right, now here, in memory of Oscar Plattarail, who is the infant son of Cinderella Ellis, died March 14, 1881, 1 year and 5 months. And so, yes, we do hope to come and recover and restore this cemetery. Now, all of those indentations there are graves. Those indentations in the ground, those are graves, the resting place, and unmarked graves. Now this one I can't see. This is sacred to the memory of Jay, daughter of, okay, this is a Talbot, Zena Talbot, and
Is it Russie?
what is that there? This person was born in June 6, 1891 and died March 15, 1896. But it's a daughter. The daughter is Jay. Can't make out that, but I know that the mother's name is Zena and the father's name looks like Aura. I can't read the father's name. Okay? But that's a Talbot. Remember, the Talbots were related to the Halls. Okay, Laura Hall married Harrow Talbot, and so that's of their lineage. Watch that, be careful. Okay, this one is sacred to the memory of Marosa Thompson, daughter of George and Lucindy Thompson. This child was born in 1883 and died in 1884. So this cemetery has a lot of children burials. Now this here is Lucindy Thompson. So she's right next to her child. In memory of Lucindy Thompson, born 1844, March 26, died April the 14th, 1884. And so that was joy, joy forever. My task is done. The gates are passed and heaven is won. That's written on her tomb. Joy, joy, she said. All right, now let's go over here. So you can see we have a lot of work to do, but we will do it. This is sacred to the memory of Josephine Lee, born in 1877, died March 1883. She is at the beautiful gates watching. And next to her is the infant child of Mariah Washington, born and died February 1885, gone to join the angels. Just a baby. All these babies buried out here, little children. Okay. All right, so let's go over here. Watch this stop. This is sacred to the memory of Lena Lennar, daughter of Matthew and Della Brannon, born in May 1882, died in July 1884. Another child. So this cemetery has lots and lots of children buried here. Okay, now this. Can anybody read that? This is the daughter of, can't read it, but we will figure out who this one is. Okay. Alrighty, got that one? Okay, now who is this? Sacred to the memory of Susan. Can you read the last name?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so we're gonna have to figure that one out. There's two graves here together. This one is in memory of Rachel, daughter of Fred and Charity Johnson. So this is a grave here, and that's a grave there. So we'll have to figure that out there. Okay, now this one, in memory of Samuel David McFadden, son of David and Selena McFadden, born December 1874, died July 1886. So you can see that this is a very old cemetery because a lot of the dates are from just after slavery and during Reconstruction. Look at this big old cedar tree. Look how large this tree is. So this tells you something about what's behind it. This tells you something about the age of this cemetery. Just from looking at this tree, that was often cedar trees were planted in cemeteries. And so this size tells you that many, many sons have come and gone. And this is a watch. This was what helped to keep some of the blanket that protected the cemetery for so long. Now this one, can you read that one?
In memory of Emma J., daughter of Fred and
This is Johnson.
something Johnson,
Okay, when was she born?
July 7th, 1892,
And when did she die?
November 16th, 1884.
No, she wouldn't have been 84 because
Wait, 18.
it has 18.
I can't see it.
Okay.
Or 1894.
1894.
So it's 1892 and
Okay, so 2-year-old.
94, yeah.
Okay. All right, now let's look here at this one. all these children, but yet these stones were left to their memory. Can you read that one?
In memory of Nancy, wife of John Basket,
Yes. When was she born?
born, I can't read the middle
That's
part.
1844.
1844.
Died
died
1896.
in 1896.
Okay, right. Now, we know these indentations here belong to others. Now, the last section we want to go to is this section over here. And this is Barry Lee. This is the grave here. His name was Asbury Lee. He was the son of Cal Jack Lee. His brother was Jonas Lee. His mother was Charlotte Lee. Charlotte was a young, and she was on the Young plantation at Blitch. And James Young, who's one of the most wealthy planters in the area, was one of the largest slave owners in the area. When he died in 1859, all of his slave names were listed, and Charlotte was listed, as well as her sister Molly, who was the mother of Jonas Lee. Cal Jack Lee had two wives, Charlotte and Molly, who were sisters. Charlotte, Barry Lee, that's his mother. Charlotte and Cal Jack Lee. Barry Lee married Margaret Rainey. They call her Aunt Mud. And these other graves in this line belongs to the family of Barry Lee and Margaret Rainey. Okay, so as you can see, we have work to do, but really want to thank Mr. Ernest Lee, Buck Lee, for the work that's already done. We will continue to map this cemetery, and we have lots of work to do, and any of your support in helping us on this program would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your visitation with us today. I want you to take a look around the area and see all the woods where this, and we are a mile off of Lakeview Road, and also the old River Road is less than a mile in that direction that I'm pointing. And it is believed that the Brown Chapel Church originated out of the Union Methodist and the New Hope Methodist Church, because New Hope came out of the Union. Many of the members of New Hope came out of the Union. So that is why I said both Union and New Hope are the progenitors of the Brown Chapel Methodist Church. Now, I want to thank you all so much, and please join us next month for our cemetery, where we will be doing the Colored People's Cemetery in Statesboro, Georgia. It was the burial ground for African Americans prior to integration. Thank you very much.